it seems that a lot of ladies are getting divorced before they turn 30. And as someone who got married at 26, has been separated for a little over a year, 32, I don't think there's anything better.
Hello guys, welcome back to Lumina. It's your boy Johnny Boy. It's great to have you here, guys. Listen, I've got another episode for you guys. This one's going to be a bit controversial. Everyone's going to have their own opinion or point of view. But I think these discussions are necessary. It's about traditional wives, basically in general traditional marriages. So let's get straight to it.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Well, model Emily Ratajkowski, one of my favourite dimwits, sparked controversy recently by claiming that getting divorced before 30 is chic.
So it seems that a lot of ladies are getting divorced before they turn 30. And as someone who got married at 26, has been separated for a little over a year, 32, I don't think there's anything better. There's nothing better than being in your 30s, still being hot, maybe having a little bit of your own money, figuring out what you want to do with your life. For all of those people who are stressed or feeling stressed about that, about being divorced, like it's good. Congratulations.
It's like, congratulations. God, she's ridiculous. Well, divorce is certainly becoming more common.
I don't even know where to start from. She got married when she was, 26? And she got divorced at 32? And she's encouraging women to do the same. Come on, guys. You just have to put one and two, and it all makes sense. She looks like a very, very expensive woman. And I can tell you, the reasons for her marriage, she wants to share it. I mean, for her divorce, she won't share it. But we move. Let's just get on with this. I think it's going to get more interesting.
And marriage itself is becoming a fierce frontier in the raging culture wars. On the one side, there are feminists rejecting a dated concept. On the other, so-called trad wives who think it binds our societies together. Well, trad wives spend their days dutifully cooking and cleaning while their husbands go to work. Esther Williams, who's a 25-year-old trad wife, has amassed hundreds of thousands of followers by showing off her trad wife life online. She even gave up her job to be the perfect wife. So is she and others like her saving society? Or are they selling out the sisterhood? Well, joining me now is traditional wife and influencer Esther Williams, and in the studio, the socialist and author Grace Blakely and YouTuber Pearl Davis. This might be the best lineup in the history of television for a debate of this nature. So I'm very excited. All right, Esther Williams, let's start with you as the trad wife. Sell it to me. Why do you think we should all go back to having trad wives in marriages?
Well, I believe that, I actually don't believe that everyone should be a traditional wife. I think that it is a choice, and I think it's a lovely choice if a woman wants to simply be a wife and a mother, and that's enough for her. And it's a simple way of living with traditional gender roles. It's balanced, and we don't have to do it all as women. I think we've proven that it's possible, but at what cost, right?
Right, and in terms of what being a trad wife involves, what do you think it means to be a trad wife?
Well, to adhere to traditional gender roles. So what I mean by that is the husband, he is the provider of the home. He goes out, he works, and he knows how to protect his family if need be. And the wife, she's the homemaker. She does the cooking, she does the cleaning, and she takes care of the home and children if there are any, and herself, of course. So it's adhering to traditional gender roles.
Okay, Grace, I'm sure you thoroughly agree with this, don't you?
Look, I mean, what Esther's just said about the fact that women should be able to choose, obviously I completely agree. And, men should be able to choose as well. I think the feminist critique of traditional gender roles and gender ideology isn't that some people like to stay at home and others don't. It's that you shouldn't be bound to pursue a certain life based on the sex that you were born into at birth. The one issue I do have is, I know actually a friend of mine whose sister got involved in the trad wife movement in the US, basically. She was quite young. She got married to someone who was like, this is what we're doing. You're going to be a trad wife. And basically came to regret it. She felt like she'd been controlled, like her life became very small, and she couldn't get out. She couldn't escape because, she'd lost all her friends, and this has become basically her entire life. And it concerns me that sometimes we see this narrative on social media that women have to be a certain way in order to get a husband. So you have to be this like particular model of femininity for people to love you. And I think that's really sad, because I don't think anyone should have to shave off any parts of themselves to be loved or to find a husband or, anything like that.
All right, Pearl, what do you think?
I think it's a good that we're seeing a return to traditionalism. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
How
I don't know.
How is the feminist movement of the last few decades, how has it gone for you? I mean, when you look at it and see how women have progressed, do you think it's been largely a force for good, or do you think, as the tradwives do, that perhaps we've lost that sense of gender rules, for want of a better phrase, which actually work very well for many people?
I mean, we've seen families disappear. I saw a study the other day that said only 25% of, this is an American stat, but American households have families. So I guess there's positives and there's negatives, but it's like at what cost,
What to you?
150 years ago, the average woman had 7 kids, 85% of people were married.
There was also much higher infant mortality, and women died very young, and
women were more depressed than ever before. We're on antidepressants. Women over the age of 45 are the least happy demographic.
There are a lot of very
complex
reasons for that.
Well,
I think
and the issue you have is women like Emily Ratajkowski. Marriage. Again, I've said this before. Marriage isn't marriage anymore. The average marriage is 7 years. We have things like no fault divorce, leave if you're unhappy.
What does that mean, marriage isn't marriage anymore? Because there have been so many marriages over the course of history where people have been very unhappy, either the man or the woman has been very unhappy, and they've been forced basically to stay in a marriage. It could have been an abusive marriage, it could have been an emotionally abusive marriage. We have one life. Why would you spend it with someone who doesn't make you happy?
Marriage was about duty. And this is the problem we have with women. Like men tend to be better people than us. Yeah, they really do. They tend to, no. They tend to do the right thing.
Look, guys, I don't tend to agree with men are better than women. I think that's an extreme. Pearl didn't mean it that way. She meant it in a very constructive way, and she meant it in a very good way as well. In terms of she's got points, and she has a very valid reason for saying that. I'll give her benefit of the doubt. But guys, this is the issue. You get these women, when it comes to like modern marriage, the modern life, the modern marriage life is not working. So why not go back to the traditional one if it's working? All I'll say is sometimes there's groomers out here. There's men that just want to control women. There's psychos. Choose the right one, please. Just choose the right one. If you choose the right one, you won't have all these issues. And I always say this, right? The man you choose reflects the life you would have. Because a man is a leader. And if you don't have a good leader at home, the rest will be history.
We are a much maligned species, I agree.
There's a reason we have phrases like a man of his word, right?
Yeah.
It's not a woman of her word. Because men will actually stick things out. Women, when shit gets hard, we just leave. And you're proving my point. What was your first answer?
Facts.
My happiness, right?
Yes.
Of course. Everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone deserves to be loved.
The family doesn't work when it's about you. It's supposed to be about your kids.
And
that's the problem in modern.
Everyone. There's a balance and a compromise in relationships. Am I allowed to talk now?
Okay, go ahead.
Look, I think relationships are about balance. They're about compromise. They're about knowing and understanding yourself, learning to, know and understand another person. Eventually, potentially, if you want to, bringing children into the world and teaching them how to do that as well. Teaching them to balance a sense of their own identity with the love that they have for another person. And, for example, I know an older woman, actually, who's a friend of our family, who got divorced at about 60. She had, this lovely family. They were together since they were 18. And she said, I got to a point after I'd stopped being a mother and, I was just kind of getting on, I realized I'd lost my sense of who I was. And I didn't really feel like I knew who I was anymore because I'd always just been a wife and a mother. And I wanted to go out and explore that. And I think that's fantastic. Good for her.
What is traditionalism?
I don't know what you think traditionalism is.
I would say a modern mentality is me before the family. I would say traditionalism is the family before me, especially in women.
You're onto something.
And so what it's interesting you said 60-year-olds because, I've interviewed 600, 700 people roughly in the past year and a half. I've done hundreds of shows interviewing people about relationships. And what I find is that...
Guys, before Pearl continues to make her point, I just want to say this, right? You see, men and women are not equal. It's just the way life is. If a woman wants to make her life easy, just find a man that understands that. A man that wants you to be independent. either through him or by yourself. A man that gives you a choice, a man that respects you and honors you. Sometimes men don't care about what you bring on the table. This is a simple fact. It's all about what you bring to him, what you give him, the peace of mind, the sense of home. He wants to come home to you and tell you all the shit he's gone throughout the day, So all these beauty and all that, this is just, it's just second class. A real man doesn't care about that. This is why when you see all these alpha males or so-called alpha males telling young men that, wealth and having lots of women is success. But guess what? I'm not going to say Gen Z. I'm just going to say women nowadays just run to that. As far as you've got money or whatever they tell them, they do it. And most of these men that are rich, they're just exploring their desires. They're not ready to settle down. Some of them have settled down, they've married someone, but they've got concubines everywhere. So it's up to you to choose the right person. So, you know what? I'll let this one flow a little bit as well because Purdy's doing a good job and we'll jump in at the end.
60-year-olds tend to, a lot of those women led their daughters astray. There's a reason we're in this mess, right? A lot of those women had the wrong mentality when it came to marriage and had exactly the mentality that you're talking about.
Which is that one should prioritize balancing one's own sense of identity with compromise in a relationship with someone else.
It's myself before the marriage.
But that's, again,
and it's really unfortunate because I would say the women of our generation really are suffering because of the advice of the women of the past.
There's an interesting point here, right, which is that we do live in a very individualistic society and we're all told, actually, I think a lot of the time in our relationships as well, you have to be a certain way if you want to receive love. You have to abide by these norms. Yeah. You have to be a certain level of attractiveness. You have to earn a certain amount of money. It's all about you. And that's not what love is.
All right, let me bring in. All right, listen, it's actually been very interesting listening to this. Let me bring in back in Esty. So Esty, in terms of trad values, like my wife puts the bins out, for example. Right? I've never asked her to. She's just adopted that role in our house. So I never put the bins out. I don't know if I should feel ashamed of myself. I do other stuff, but I don't put the bins out. As a trad wife, do you put your bins out? Is that part of the gender rule of the 50s? Is that what used to happen? Or is the man supposed to do that? I mean, how do these rules work in reality?
To be honest, it has nothing, I don't want to say nothing. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the 50s and the 60s, especially in our household. I enjoy the aesthetic, and I think that's where people get a little mixed up with my channel. But well, to answer your question, actually, I don't put the trash bins out. My husband does that, but I think we have this this thing in our household where he does most of the outdoor work. I do all the indoor work. Of course, he works and provides, and I'm the homemaker. That's what works for us. But
in relation to what Pearl said, is part of that a sense of being dutiful and having no problem actually with being dutiful in a marriage?
Yes, I believe that traditionalism it is putting your family before yourself, and I think it is having those traditional values that were once definitely more in place in God, family, and love. And we live in a very selfish society now. You see self-love printed everywhere, right? And women, speaking of divorce and marriage, women are leaving marriage far more easier than men, and they are doing it because they think there's something better out there for them, that the grass is greener on the other side, and they're finding out that is wrong, and they're going through divorce after divorce. And marriage is a bond, and it's a sacred bond where two become one under God, and that's beautiful, and you have to protect that at all costs. And I think part of that is putting your partner's needs before your own every single day. And I try and do my best, and I think of my husband as much as I can, and what will please him and make him happy.
I love the sound of this. Sorry, I mean, obviously I don't. I wouldn't dare to express an opinion.
Who wouldn't love the sound of that? All the guys out there, just let us know. Even the women, let us know. Basically, everyone, we're inclusive. We have to be inclusive. But guys, listen, just put it. Let's generalize it. What's the meaning of traditional marriage, and whose responsibility is what? Let us know down in the comment section, guys.
That's, a lovely way to think about relationships if it's reciprocal.
Yes.
You're talking about God and family and tradition.
This is the
Paul, can I
problem.
please
Women always
finish
keep
my
score.
sentence?
Life isn't about
I thought
keeping
women were
score.
supposed to, recognize their place and learn not to speak over other people. No, so look, I think it's reciprocated. You talked there about religion, about Christianity, and about self-love. The kind of most important commandment. There's two most important commandments: love your neighbor as yourself. So that requires a foundation of self-love and respect for oneself and knowledge of one's own identity and what one wants to be able to receive and give the love that you're going to have in a solid and healthy relationship. I think it has to be mutual.
You're not looking forward to getting you all back in about 10 years' time to see if either of you two are married and have stayed married, and to see particularly, Esther, if you're still married and still happily married and still feel exactly the same way you do today about what marriage should be. That would be a really interesting show in about 10 years.
How happy we are in general with our lives and all the other many rich aspects of our relationships and our careers and all of these things.
Yep. Great debate. Thank you very much, ladies. Nice to see you all.
Let's just unpack this. Everyone would see marriage different, and we all totally agree. But I just want to make a few points. The person you marry, it depends on their principles, on what you will get from them. So if their principles don't align with yours, it's not going to be a happy marriage. It won't even last, because you're completely two different people. To be different is all right, it's good, but can you work out your differences? Can you come to a mutual point? Marriage should be a union. It should be a union between two, not three, not four. Forget about the families and the friends. Focus on yourselves. This is why a lot of marriages don't work now, because we want to live in a modern society that doesn't respect and understand. And people don't even understand the reason why they're getting married. It's just love. They're following love. Marriage shouldn't be just about love. Find the person you love. Yes, build a relationship. But more importantly, know them inside out. You have to understand and know the person you're getting married to. This is the problem. Some of these women out there, they just want a rich man. That's 1% of men. Find someone you love and grow with them. Be content. It's all about contentment. If you're not content with whatever you've got, you will never be happy with what you have. You can never, ever, ever stay in a marriage without being content. Marriage is all about sacrifice. Like Piers was saying, it's not always going to be about you. It's always going to be about us. If there's no us, there's no marriage. Simple as that. But people get into these marriages, especially these rich celebrities and just rich people in general. Most of their partners are there for a reason, They're looking at what you've got. And it all boils down to growing up. If you have a boyfriend or you have a man, a fiance or whatever, and they're not outright spending on you without you asking, there's a problem somewhere. That's where it starts. If you go to dinner with a man or a date, and then you're spending, or he's sharing the bill with you, that's where the problem is. Traditional marriage works, but let's not start labeling things as traditional or modern marriage. I think what people need to do, like she was saying, she kept mentioning God. Go back to your roots, I think if you marry someone that's godly and God-fearing, what tends to happen is they tend to put God first, even before you. So all of their actions are based on what God thinks of them, not what you think of them. You're all good. You don't even need to worry about a single thing. Marry a religious guy, a God-fearing guy, or a guy with principles. I don't know, might be an atheist or whatever, but when it comes to a relationship, it's a very complicated one. But anyway, guys, get involved in the discussions. Marriage is a very complicated issue. We all aspire to one day. Some people don't. But regardless of the point, you have to choose right. Make sure you know your partner. Know what you're signing up for before you do. Know what drives them. See? But put your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Let us know what you think about traditional marriage and modern marriage. We all know the stats. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's your boy Johnny Boy again. I'm out. Peace.